I found out my best friend had been lying to me for almost a year because my mom grounded me over a rumor that wasn't even true. That's the part that still messes with me. Not the lie itself. Not even the betrayal. It's that I didn't hear it from her. I heard it from my mother, standing in the kitchen at 11:47 p.m., holding her phone like it was evidence in a trial I didn't know I was on. I'm writing this now because I can't sleep, and my brain won't shut up. And if I don't get it out somewhere, I think I might actually scream. So congrats, Reddit. You get the mess. For context, I'm not dramatic. I know everyone says that, but I'm really not. I'm the friend who overthinks quietly, who rewrites texts 3 times, who apologizes too much even when I didn't do anything wrong. I hate attention. I hate conflict. I especially hate being misunderstood, which makes all of this ironic. My best friend, Lena, and I have known each other since middle school. The kind of friendship where you don't knock, you just walk into each other's houses. The kind where our moms joked that we were basically sisters. We survived bad haircuts, worse crushes, and that one year everyone decided we were too much together. She was loud. I was observant. She talked. I listened. It worked. Until it didn't. The secret relationship part started last year. I didn't mean for it to be a secret at first. It just happened quietly. His name was Evan. He was in our extended friend group. Not someone I'd ever pictured myself with. He was sarcastic in a dry way. Not flashy, not loud. He noticed things. Like when I got quieter than usual. Like when Lena talked over me. I should have clocked that as a red flag. I didn't. We didn't tell anyone because Lena had casually mentioned once that she thought Evan was interesting, which is her code for I might want him someday. But she never acted on it. Never texted him. Never even flirted as far as I could tell. So when Evan and I started talking more, late night messages, shared playlists, sitting closer than usual, it felt harmless. Private but harmless. I told myself I'd tell her soon. I always do that. I tell myself I'll do the hard thing soon. Soon never comes. The first weird moment was when Lena started making jokes. Little ones. Sharp ones. Wow, you and Evan are attached at the hip lately. I laughed too fast. Then, didn't know you were into that type. I shrugged. What type? She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Never mind. After that, things shifted. She took longer to reply. She canceled plans last minute. When we did hang out, she was glued to her phone, then weirdly cold. Like she was daring me to ask what was wrong. I didn't, because I was scared of what she'd say. Family pressure didn't help. My parents are intense. Not abusive, not cruel, just deeply invested in who I am, who I talk to, what that might turn into. Dating was a whole conversation. Dating secretly was not an option. So I kept quiet. About Evan, about the tension, about the pit in my stomach that told me this was all going to explode eventually. Then the rumors started. Someone told someone that I was sneaky. Someone else said I'd gone behind Lena's back. Another person said I'd been leading Evan on. The versions changed depending on who was telling it. Somehow in every version, I was the villain. I asked Lena about it once. I tried to sound casual. Hey, have you heard people saying weird stuff about me? She looked up from her phone, blinked slowly, and said, if the shoe fits? I laughed because I thought she was joking. She wasn't. Things escalated fast after that. I started getting side eyes at school. Conversation stopped when I walked up. One girl I barely knew asked me, why would you do that to your best friend? I said, do what? She just shook her head like I was pathetic. The worst part was how alone I felt. Evan noticed. He kept asking if I was okay. I kept saying yes. Because what else do you say when everything feels like it's slipping but you don't have proof? Then came the night my mom called me into the kitchen. She didn't yell. That somehow made it worse. She said, do you have something you want to tell me? My heart dropped straight into my stomach. She turned her phone toward me. On the screen was a message. From Lena's mom. It said I was lying. Sneaking around, hurting people, and that my behavior was concerning. I felt like I'd been punched. That's not true, I said immediately. Too fast again. My mom sighed. Then explain. So I did. Everything. Evan. The secrecy. The tension. My voice shook the whole time. When I finished, she didn't say anything for a long moment. Then she said, why didn't you tell me sooner? And I didn't have a good answer. I never do. I was grounded until further notice. Phone restricted. No going out, no Evan. The public humiliation came the next day. Lena confronted me in the hallway. Loudly. Where people could hear. You really told your mom I lied? She said. I stared at her. I didn't say that. You always play innocent, she snapped. Everyone sees it now. People were watching. Phones out. Whispers. I felt small, tiny, like I was 12 again and didn't know how to defend myself. What do you want from me? I asked. She laughed. The truth would have been nice. But it's a little late. That was the moment something in me cracked. I finally said it. Out loud. To her face. I didn't betray you. I was scared. There's a difference. She looked stunned for half a second. Then her expression hardened. Whatever helps you sleep. She walked away. The climax wasn't dramatic in the movie sense. No screaming. No slapping. Just the quiet realization that the person I trusted most had already decided who I was, and it wasn't me. The truth came out 2 weeks later. Another friend showed me screenshots. Messages Lena had sent. Twisting things, exaggerating, straight up lying. Saying I'd stolen Evan, saying I'd planned it. I sat on my bed and read them over and over, my hands shaking. I found out too late. That's the part that still stings the most. By then, the damage was done. People apologized awkwardly. I didn't know. I thought she made it sound like... I nodded, said it was fine. It wasn't. Evan and I broke up shortly after. Not because we wanted to, but because everything around us was heavy and tense and exhausting. We hugged, I cried. He said, I wish I'd protected you more. I said, me too. Lena never apologized. The aftermath is quieter than I expected. Fewer friends. More peace. Less noise in my head most days. My parents eased up when they saw the truth. My mom hugged me longer than usual one night and said, I should have trusted you sooner. I'm learning to speak up before things rot inside me. I'm learning that being underestimated hurts, but it also reveals who never really saw you. Sometimes I miss her. Not the version of her at the end, but the one who used to sit on my floor and talk about nothing until 2 a.m. But I don't miss who I became trying to keep her happy. So yeah, that's it. That's the story. I didn't come out untouched. I didn't win, but I didn't disappear either. And right now that feels like enough. I didn't plan to write an update. Honestly, I thought I'd post the story, close my laptop, and move on. But life didn't really let me do that. Things kept happening. Small things. Quiet things. The kind that don't feel dramatic in the moment but change you anyway. So this is the update. The what happened after. The stuff I didn't know how to feel about until now. The first thing that happened was silence. Not the peaceful kind. The weird, echoey kind where you suddenly realize how much noise one person took up in your life. No constant texts. No inside jokes. No someone narrating every little thing. At first, I kept reaching for my phone without thinking. I'd see something funny and almost send it to Lena. I'd stop myself mid-motion and feel stupid, like my muscle memory hadn't caught up with reality yet. I hated that part. Missing someone who hurt you feels embarrassing. School was different. People were nicer, technically. Smiles, small talk. A lot of, hey, how are you holding up? But it all felt surface level. Like everyone was afraid to dig too deep in case they hit something uncomfortable. A few people actually surprised me. One girl I barely spoke to before sat next to me during lunch one day and said, for what it's worth, I never believed the rumors. I didn't know what to say, so I just nodded. Later, I cried in the bathroom for no real reason other than relief. Evan checked in a couple of times. Nothing heavy. Just hope you're okay and saw this and thought of you. We didn't get back together. I don't think either of us was ready. But there was no bitterness, and somehow that made it easier to let go. Family-wise, things shifted. My mom stopped hovering so much. My dad started asking my opinion instead of assuming things. One night at dinner, my mom said, I'm proud of how you handled all of that. I almost laughed. Handled it? I barely survived it. But I said thank you anyway. The biggest update, the one I didn't expect, came about a month later. Lena tried to talk to me. She caught me after school near the parking lot. Just stood there like she wasn't sure if she was allowed to be in my space anymore. Can we talk? She asked. I didn't answer right away. That felt powerful in a strange way. Finally, I said, about what? She sighed. Everything. We sat on the curb. Not like old times. There was too much distance for that. She admitted some things, not all. She said she felt replaced. She said she panicked. She said she didn't mean for things to go that far. She didn't say sorry. At least not really. There was a I regret how it turned out instead. I wish it hadn't blown up. I listened. I stayed calm. I surprised myself. When she finished, she looked at me like she was waiting for forgiveness. Or absolution. Or maybe just permission to feel better. What I said was this. I cared about you. I still probably do, in some way. But you made choices. And so did I. I'm not angry anymore, but I don't trust you. And I don't think that's something we can just fix. She nodded like she understood. I don't know if she actually did. We didn't hug. We didn't promise to keep in touch. We just stood up and walked in opposite directions. That was the closure, uneventful, real. The aftermath has been quieter than I imagined, but heavier in a different way. I think I'm still grieving, not just the friendship, but the version of myself who would V blamed herself forever if the truth hadn't come out. I've changed. I speak up faster now. I don't swallow discomfort just to keep the peace. I pay attention when something feels off instead of convincing myself I'm overreacting. I also learned that being underestimated hurts, but it also shows you who was never really listening. Do I wish I'd handled things differently? Yeah, 100%. Do I wish I'd told the truth sooner? Of course. But I also know this. I didn't deserve what happened to me. And realizing that has been weirdly freeing. So that's the final update. We're not friends. We're not enemies. We're just done. And for the first time in a long time, I'm okay with that.